Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. Today I am here with none other than Pastor Colby Scott.
That's
welcome
right.
to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Good to be
glad
here.
you're sitting down. You're let's see, my third guest.
Yep.
I've had Pastor Zach, Pastor Cody.
Third time's a charm.
Yeah, I think we're on the upward
We're
trend.
on the upward trend for sure.
Yeah, the guests keep getting better.
Yeah. Zach,
like it.
Zach said he was the awesomest, I think, in his episode.
Yeah.
There's been a debate going on between the staff guys about who's the healthiest. I just want to make it clear, there's no question. He may be the awesomest, but I'm definitely the healthiest, best looking.
I would take that title. I would be most proud of that. Well, thanks again for sitting down with us.
Yeah.
As everyone knows, we're doing a series with the VBFA staff and going through the different ministries and really just getting to know the pastors, because you can see them at church, but sometimes you don't know the person behind the ministry or the person that gets up on stage and maybe talks for a few minutes on a Sunday. So let's get right into it.
Yeah.
Pastor Colby, outside of the kids club room, what are you like? You know, you leave the church building. Who are you?
Well, I'm a husband to Ashley. Ashley's our junior high pastor of the church, so we're both really involved in ministry.
Yeah.
It honestly is it's a big part of who we are, and it's a lot of our conversations at home.
Yeah, it's a family affair.
Yeah, yeah. And so we've been married for 4.5 years at the time of this recording. Our anniversary's in November, so about to be 5 years.
That's crazy.
Married, which is just insane. You were a groomsman
in
my wedding.
It does not seem like that long ago.
No, it does not seem like that long ago at all. And but man, like my life, like from now till, what am I trying to say? Like
from back then to
from
now.
From back then to now,
yeah,
completely, like not even close to the same.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've been married.
You have a way better beard.
Oh, well, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I have better beard. But we're expecting our first children, not just our first child, our first children.
Yeah.
We got 2 twin girls coming. I don't know when this episode is going to be released, but they might be here when it's released. We just had a doctor's appointment yesterday, and she's like really far along. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's starting to feel real. You know what I mean?
Bet. Yeah.
And so thankfully we got most of the stuff. We got our cribs and
you're as ready as you can be.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, we're never really ready, you know. So that's a big part of my life right now. You know, just taking care of her, and it's because it's different, you know, and that she can't do everything she used to be able to do, and so. But other than that, most people know this by now, but I love animals.
Yeah,
it was
you're
kind
like
of
a goat whisperer.
Yeah, it was a shock to a lot of people when I started getting animals, but I've always loved animals. I never grew up with any other than dogs.
Right.
But then when we got a place where we had room for animals and we got dogs, I'm like, well, I'm gonna try chickens. Well, I ended up loving chickens. And then we got some ducks, and I love the ducks. Are like my favorite. I love them. They're so funny.
That's
and I love
hilarious.
them. And then my father-in-law got me my first goat for my birthday, and it was like the greatest birthday present ever. You know, it's like getting a goat for your birthday. And so that was my
stink.
Okay, so he does, but but not like as bad as what everybody says.
Okay. Your goat's clean.
Well, he's not clean. He is not clean. He is nasty. And I think I was talking to one of my family members on Ashley's side of the family.
Yeah.
And they were like, it just gets worse as they get older. So he's still young, and so I'm kind of preparing myself for him to just be
interesting,
out of this world stinky.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I love animals. I love my dogs. I love my goats. I got 4 goats, 3 dogs.
Really, 4 goats. Wow.
Yeah, and then a number. I don't know how many ducks and chickens I got, but yeah.
Okay. You have goat milk or goat cheese?
Not yet. One of my goats is pregnant right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I'm going out there multiple times a day, seeing if she's like going into labor. I got to get my practice for when Ashley goes.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You got to know what to do.
Yeah, I got to know what to do. So I'm looking forward to having some baby goats here maybe pretty soon and getting some goat milk.
That's really
cool. That
cool.
seems like a weird thing to say. A lot of people look at me and I don't dress like a farmer or nothing, and I don't consider myself to be one, but it is something that I just enjoy to do, being around animals.
You definitely don't give the farmer vibe, but
no, I do not give the farmer vibe. Do not give it. But I'm also a huge nerd. I love, I think Pastor Cody said on his episode that he likes to watch movies, and I do too. I love to get involved in different TV series, movies, all that kind of stuff. So
okay, cool. Yeah. So you grew up in the church. You're from Van Buren. You're from Van Buren First Assembly. You and I have actually known each other our entire life. Grew up in Kids Club, which is really ironic because I know pretty much the entire time, all the way through high school and even part of college probably, if you would have told me that Colby Scott would have turned out to be the kids pastor at our church, I would have laughed at you so hard.
Well, yeah, and people still laugh at that. We were having a staff board Christmas party a year or two ago, and one of the board members was like, Colby, I don't know how you got to be kids pastor. I'm like, man, I don't know either. Like, I have no idea. It's the craziest thing.
Well, what's crazy is now, you fit the role so well that now it's like I couldn't see you anywhere else during this season of your life. Yeah. And it's really cool to see that. But tell us a little bit about what it was like growing up for you, what role faith played in your home life and coming to church and really finding God and having a relationship on your own with Him.
Yeah, so I am from Van Buren First Assembly. My family on both sides, my mom and dad's side, were raised in church. And it was my dad's side of the family that was raised in Van Buren First Assembly. My mom was raised Baptist, I think. And but my great-grandma was attended Van Buren First Assembly. So she was like, which I guess our great-grandma, because we're...
Well, no, so... somebody's going to correct me on this if I'm wrong. Yeah. I think our great-grandmas are sisters.
Yeah. They are. But then I had another great-grandma that went to this church. I know both of them went here at one point. I don't know which one started coming here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But anyway, the point is that
you've been here a long time.
Yeah, we've been here. My family's been here. And I'm literally related to everybody in the church.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm related to you. I'm related to Pastor Cody by marriage.
Yeah.
I'm related to... you name it. I'm probably related to them somehow.
Yeah.
So that's why I went and found Ashley, who did not go to the church.
Somewhere else.
Just to be sure. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, you can't take a chance.
No. But so I did grow up going to Van Buren First Assembly, but I'm actually from Fayetteville. And I grew up in Fayetteville. And that's where I grew up until I lived until I moved down here for college. Mm-hmm. So growing up in a different town than you go to church is a struggle. I wouldn't necessarily. It gets harder the older you get.
Yeah.
But I was always really involved in church. My mom, she was a staying at home mom, and so she would have me and my sister just on strict schedules as soon as we got home. And studying the Bible was one of those things. It was okay, you get home, you can have free time for 30 minutes or so, and then we're studying the Bible.
Yeah. Right.
And so that was an everyday thing, you know. And so it was really, I obviously loved going to church and stuff. And then now as kids pastor, that's my heart. I love it when kids, don't get me wrong, I love it when kids come to church and, we have a great crowd and they get involved. But seeing families that get it together, that's a huge win to me.
Yeah.
Because that's how I grew up. And
yeah, you were a national Bible quiz champion.
I was a state champion. I never was a national champion, but I was a state champion in Bible quiz, and that really kind of helped solidify my faith later in life. You know what I mean? You look at the verse in Proverbs, train a child the way they should go,
right?
And when they're old, they won't turn from it. And so that's basically my story.
Yeah.
I was raised from a young age to read the Bible and to pray. And when I was old and I started being tempted with stuff, started being faced with stuff, not only was I able to stand strong, but my parents were able to, it's not like they didn't worry, but there was a trust there. Yes. You know what I mean? Because they knew, okay, we taught him this, and there was times where I got in trouble and I had to get my butt whooped and my butt chewed out. But there was always a trust because they taught me this, and that's what the Bible says.
Exactly.
You train a child the way they should go. When they're old, they won't turn from it. So
that's awesome.
So faith played a huge part in my life growing up, And yeah, I'm here today because of it. So
you're still here.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. At what point, because we grew up in church together, like I said, and then we graduated high school the same year. We're pretty much the same age, like a couple months away from each other.
Yeah.
And then we even started going to college together.
Yeah.
And we're both in business.
Yeah.
For a little while. And so at what point did you realize or accept that you were called to ministry and that's what you were supposed to be doing full time?
Yeah. So, man, that's just kind of a roller coaster of a story, and I don't even really know where to begin. And I apologize if I even get scatterbrained here, because there, for me, and this is probably everybody's story is different, right? But for me, like, there was never a time, like I never had like a one-time experience where I was like, where God was like, "You're called." You know what I mean? Right. Like that wasn't it for me. I didn't have that like altar experience where it was like God spoke to me, "You're going to be a kids pastor." It wasn't like that for me. And so I think for me it started back kind of in high school. I guess it started in high school, and then my freshman year in college, and I just started to, I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was a camp service. I remember getting set free from a couple things at my last year in youth camp, and that kind of set the trajectory a little bit for me. And then going to college, and I just started to kind of see things and people as opportunities to like share my faith with.
Right.
And so like anytime I would have a project at school, or if I had to give a speech in a speech class, like I would try my best to integrate my faith into that, because it's like I got a platform and I have to do it anyway. Right. And I'm already wondering, what am I going to do? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so I would try to integrate my faith into those things. And I remember even meeting with professors like for my what are they called?
Advising appointments.
Advising appointments.
Yes.
Yeah. And we would get to talking about church and stuff, because they always asked me like, awesome. Where do you work? Where do you do? All that kind of stuff. And I would end up, and then we'd go from there, because I worked at the church and all that kind of stuff. So that was a big part. But also a big part was when I got into these GoPro cameras. And I know this sounds just so unspiritual right now, but like when I got my first GoPro camera.
I remember this.
Yeah. And it was a part of, we were just talking before we started recording, we were talking about fine arts, and my fine arts thing when we did fine arts was doing a video. Yeah. And so I got into making videos. And so around that same time where I'm like kind of realizing, I have these, I wouldn't call them gifts or talents, but like going back to like the school projects and stuff, but it's stuff that I'm just kind of seeing things differently.
Right.
And so I started seeing videos and stuff as a way that I could help the church. And like I got started, me and Scott, he graduated with us too. We went rock climbing one time, and we brought a GoPro, and I made a video for us. And me and my cousin went cliff jumping, and I made a GoPro video out of that. And when me and my family would go on vacation, I'd make a video out of that. And then I got to the point where I wanted to start making videos for the church. And I made a video for Easter or the health fair, different events that we would do. And then there was one time at a service where there was just a bunch of people that were getting baptized at service, and it was like a planned thing. Yeah. But like we had a bunch of people sign up to be baptized, and so I think I went to Pastor Cody, because Pastor Cody obviously was on staff at the time, and I went to him and I was like, "Hey, I want to video this baptism." He's like, "Yeah, that's awesome." And so I did it. I videoed it. I edited it, and I ended up I sent it to Cody, and he posted it. We showed it in service, I think, and then posted it on Facebook, and it ended up getting like I don't remember I don't want to say a number because I don't want to get it wrong, but it was several thousand views and stuff on Facebook. And I come from that, I get a job offer from that to like do this at the church. And I remember just being like, I don't even know what to think. Right. It was like my first real job, my first, W-2 job, I guess, so to speak. Yeah. And I remember Pastor Cody approached me about like being in charge of like videos, graphics, all that kind of stuff at the church. And it was at a basketball tournament that the youth was putting on. And I remember thinking like, what? Like, and so I was still living at Fayetteville at the time, or I was going home for the weekend or something. And I remember driving back just like kind of thinking about everything. And then when I got home, I took a nap. Okay. I was going through that phase where I just took naps all the time.
Yeah.
And I woke up and I was thinking that it was a dream. I was like, he didn't really just offer me a job at the church that I've grown up with, grew up with.
Right.
But then I was like, yeah, he did. Like, that was real life, And so I was just like emotionally unstable for like a couple hours. Like, I was just crying. I just couldn't believe it, And I was just so thankful that it just didn't make sense that I would be offered just
me,
me, like it's me. Okay,
right.
It's me we're talking about. This is Colby. This is the weird kid that like is awkward and just does dumb stuff. And here I am, potentially about to start working at my home church, and it's just been the honor of my life to be able to do that. And then from there, like, I just wanted to do more. I got in, and by no way am I comparing myself to Isaiah, the prophet Isaiah. I'm in no way doing that. But when I read the story of Isaiah and the I guess the first the beginning of the book of Isaiah, where God's asking, who will go, who will do this, and nobody answers, and Isaiah says, me, I'll go, I'll do it. And I feel like that's been me for like the ministries I've been involved in, from the media ministry to the junior high ministry and to now kids ministry. It's been, hey, here's a need. Who will see it?
Yeah. Who's going to fill that?
I'll do it. I'll do it.
That's amazing.
I'll do what I need to do, kind of thing. And so that has just kind of kept like, so I started off as media pastor, and then I moved to junior high pastor, working under Pastor Cody, and then eventually became kids pastor. And each time it was like, we have this need, we have this need, I guess there's no other way to put it, but who's gonna do it? Who will do it? I'll do it.
Yeah.
And so it's just always been, for me, I've tried to just have a spirit of just availability, like I'm available to do what God needs me to do.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and that's so cool to see. Like, your entire story is you being available. Like, a door opens and you step into it. Yeah. So did you going to college, did you go to school because that's the thing to do, or did you have like a dream job, dream career path that you were searching for, that you were going to school for?
Man, I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do. You know what I mean?
I feel that.
I remember like looking up to you, like, because we had a couple of classes together, and I remember like, man, I wish I had like a better idea, like what like Seth, like anytime we talked, you'd have like, this is what I'm doing. I don't even know if it's what you ended up doing or not. I think you changed your major a couple of times, but I just remember thinking like, man, I wish I had like a plan like Seth did. You know what I'm saying? Because I was like, I was undeclared. I came to college at Fort Smith. And the reason I came to college at Fort Smith was because I wanted to be close to church, and because I went to school in Fayetteville. And like I was saying, the older I got, the harder it was to not to be involved, but just to feel a part.
Well, nobody you go to church with, you see on a day-to-day basis.
I know, and I always, growing up, I was always closer to you and to Scott and to Hunter and a couple other guys that were our age. I was always closer to y'all than I was anybody at school, and so like going a week, 3 or 4 days, whatever, without seeing your best friends, and then y'all all live close together, and so like y'all would do stuff without me, and not like in a bad way, but it's just like he lives an hour away, you know what I'm saying? So like you just miss out on some memories, some events, all that kind of stuff. And so I ended up coming to college in Fort Smith for that reason. I was originally going to the University of Arkansas, and just living at home, but I ended up coming down here just to be close to church, and to be close to y'all. And
I remember that time because it was like a really big deal for our friend group that, Colby's not going to be an hour away anymore. He's like right across the bridge, or he's in town with us, so we can all go do stuff together. It was a really exciting time.
It was really fun, and I was so glad that I got classes with y'all. I think good. I don't think I ever had a class with anybody else from church. Well, I don't remember, but I remember having a couple different classes with you.
We did,
and that was pretty fun. I don't even remember what you asked. What we were talking about.
You know.
Oh yeah, I didn't have.
Path.
Yeah, I didn't have a plan. And I was trying to figure out the plan when Cody offered me this, and I remember going home talking over with my parents, and my dad kind of walked me through like, okay, like if this is, you know, if you're going to do this, then this is the majors, the degrees that will help you do that. And so I ended up going to college for a degree in marketing, and I graduated in 2020 with that, and then with a minor in media communication. And so now I'm currently trying to get my Bible college degree so I can have that too. But yeah, I never really had a plan like career wise.
Right.
For me, if you're asking about giving something up to do ministry, I think it was more like giving up friends, popularity, and like the college life. Right. You know what I mean? Because like
the mold of a college life. Yeah, like that stereotypical,
like what you see in movies, TV shows, or even just like what people actually do. You know, they
right. Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's just, you know, the partying, the
just that lifestyle.
I mean, it's just a lifestyle. And so growing up kind of sheltered, I wouldn't say I was sheltered.
I would say we both experienced that, both grew up like that in that same.
But I played basketball in high school and track, and I was on the track team in high school. And so those, you know, locker room stuff, it kind of, you're not like, you know, going home and being in church and living under a Christian home. Like, yeah, you are sheltered, but then you also see like in those scenarios, you kind of see stuff and hear stuff that you shouldn't hear, that kind of thing. But then when you like move to college and you're away from, like you're on your own, you know what I'm saying? Even if your parents are still helping you, supporting you, all that kind of stuff, but you're free to make whatever decisions that you want to make. And so for me, it was that my first semester in college was just a big test.
Right.
It was testing like, okay, are you going to choose to be a Christian, or are you going to choose to live this fun, popular college life? And it was tough. I had some tough times my first semester in college, but going back to growing up, I was strong in my faith because of the way I was raised.
Exactly.
You know, and so like that. Whenever, you know, all my roommates were getting just plastered drunk, or whenever they would have girls over, or whenever, and nobody's around.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
There's no accountability.
There's no accountability. Yeah. And I can't tell you how many times I had a single dorm. So it wasn't actually my roommate. So I could go in and lock the door and I'd be by myself, you know, so I could kind of get away from it.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you how many times that my suite mates, it was just the two of us, three of us. And they knew that I didn't do that. They knew I didn't drink that. They knew I didn't do that. But I can't tell you how many times they were just like, hey, you want just a sip?
Yeah, just try it.
I won't tell anybody. And like to this day, they will not tell anybody, you know, because that's just the way those people are. But I never did. I never gave in. I stood up for what I believe in. And I think that was just God testing me. Like, do you want this, or do you want to be popular? Do you want to be the cool guy? And so right after that, I started seeing all these blessings come. Right after that, I met Ashley. Yeah. Right after that, I got offered the job at the church. And there's no doubt in my mind that if I had, you know, given into, and I'm not saying I was perfect.
Right.
But if I would have, you know, decided to choose that life over a life with God, there's no question in my mind that I would not have Ashley. I wouldn't have a job at, you know what I'm saying? Like,
you were at a metaphorical fork in the road.
Yeah. It's like, what do you want to do? What kind of life do you want to live?
Yeah.
And so,
and we heard that growing up, you know, you'd face those decisions that you faced in college that you just talked about. And it's like, well, yeah, I'm going to stand strong on my faith. That's an easy decision.
But it's
then
not.
You get to it and you live it. And it's like, this is like really tearing me apart inside, because it's my flesh versus my spirit. And we hear Paul talking about that. In the New Testament, he says, how does he say it? That he continues to do the things that he doesn't want to do, or he's tempted by the things that he doesn't want to do because his flesh is so strong.
Mm-hmm.
And you talk about, that spirit man was built up in you with what your parents instilled in you, what you were taught every single Sunday and Wednesday, and the people you surrounded yourself with.
Yeah, and that's why I'm so passionate and so like I struggle with families that don't make that a priority, because I see all kinds of families, being a kids pastor, and I see families that are just, doing everything they can. They're making church a priority. They're doing everything they can. And then I see others that, they only come once a month, or they only, and it's just like, man, you got to make that a priority at that young age in that kid's life, because those kids are picking up on what you're deciding is a priority. And I'm thankful that for me growing up that it was a priority, and I want to see that for every family. I want to see that for all the kids and the parents that I come into contact with at church, at the daycare, the backyard.
Exactly.
I want them to have that priority, because number one, I want those kids to grow up to be the disciple that God's called them to be. But I also want the parents to have a peace knowing, like, hey, I did my part and I trained that child the way they should go, and I know that God's going to keep his word and he's going to keep my kid.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and you're in the position in our church where, you see kids that their parents definitely do not prioritize church or even live a pleasing life to God. And so you are almost you're the outlet that they need, that they could look back to one day. Like, it talks about in the Bible where some people plant and water and sow, and some people don't do all three, but you're planting seeds in kids' lives that absolutely need it, that maybe their home life is a wreck or their school life is bad, and they can lean back on your teachings and the experiences they had in your ministry when they're our age. And they can remember that, and I'm sure that's encouraging to you to think of the seeds that you're planting in your ministry. It
thrills me to think, because I see kids that, like, I kind of see myself in them, or I just see potential in them.
Right.
I don't want to say I see myself in them, but I see, like, man, if you just keep on this path, like, there's no telling what God's going to do in your life.
Exactly.
And it's incredible, but at the same time, there's you see parents or families fall off, and that breaks your heart. You know? But, yeah.
Well, you mentioned it just a few minutes ago, just a few of the different ministries, even under the kids ministry umbrella. But what is one thing that you are the most excited about that's going on at VBFA right now?
I think all of the discipleship stuff that we're all kind of focused on is gonna. I know a couple other guys talked about just the cultural shift, and I'm excited for that. I know that we talk about, we've talked about it for a while, and obviously the worship services, the preaching, all of that is really important, but getting people to understand, like, the making disciples aspect, like this one-on-one small group stuff. I think that this year was starting the stuff with the men's class, and even the Jesus clubs and stuff that I've started on Sunday nights with some of my older kids that want to serve, that want to be leaders. I'm taking them, like, trying to take some time and really just disciple them.
Yeah.
And I think that just the discipleship focus, our midweek groups on Wednesday nights, but I think just having the discipleship focus is something that I'm really excited about, because that's really, that's what Jesus did. That's what he was all about.
Exactly.
Jesus didn't go around inviting people to church, come hear me speak. He met the needs where they are, and he met with people one-on-one. He went to their houses. He went to where they are. And I think we're going in the right direction. And that's what the church did in the book of Acts. Yeah. You hear stories of Peter and Paul preaching to these huge crowds and everything, but really, the core of it was them meeting together, small groups, discussion based. We're going to teach the Bible. We're going to learn from one another about the Bible, and then we're going to take that and we're going to go multiply. Yeah. And I'm really excited about that. I'm excited for it for the kids. I know Cody mentioned his Jesus clubs. I've got some kids of mine that are 4th and 5th grade that are wanting to start their own at their elementary schools. And
that's so cool.
It is, because they're like 4th and 5th graders, but they're already like starting to want to lead. That's amazing. And that's what I've tried to get them to understand and get them to see, like, hey, you don't have to wait until you're in high school. You don't have to wait. Like, God can use you now, because it's that childlike faith that you have. Yes. That it gives you an advantage, really, because you don't question things the way a high schooler would or a college kid would. You don't logically, okay, does this make sense or not? Like, you're a kid, like you just believe. And so to get them to put that into action and to see the fruits of that is really cool.
Man, that's so amazing. Yeah, I love what you're doing with your ministry, and it feeds into the youth. But I think both of those ministries are equally such a pivotal and important time in kids' lives. Like, the Jesus clubs that have been started at the high school, they're influencing your kids to where they're wanting to take that step, and I just think that's amazing.
But, it's really cool.
Yeah, well, I'm about to put the pressure on you. You know what question's coming. What word of wisdom would Pastor Colby give our listeners today as we wrap things up?
Oh, man. I'm just so full of wisdom. It's just so hard to pick,
It just
I'm obviously kidding. But no. I actually, this is something that I heard a couple weeks ago, maybe. I was actually listening to another podcast, not to cheat on this podcast or anything, but I was like, I know.
I felt that.
I know. I was listening to this other podcast, and this guy was talking about, and I know Pastor Cody and Zach and Pastor Britt are probably going to give me, and my wife will probably give me a hard time about this, because this is something that I need to do a better job of, probably. Or at least I know I do. That's probably why it's been on my heart. But, and they were talking about, being submissive. And so I don't remember what the conversation, like how they got off on it, or where they even ended up from it, but it was like just being submissive, not just to God, but like to people in your life, and how submission is not submission until you don't want to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And so it's like if I'm told to do something at work, but it was something that I want to do, I'm not being submissive.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean? And so I thought it was really, really interesting. Like, you don't know how to submit to authority until you're forced to do something that you don't want to do, and then you're submissive.
Yeah.
And so, and that's kind of something that I've been trying to pray about more, and trying to be more submissive to, and not just to God. One thing that they talked about that I thought was so interesting was Moses. Moses went out in the desert, and he went to, he obviously met God at the burning bush. God told him, he heard the audible voice of God from a burning bush to go and do XYZ.
Yeah.
What's the first thing Moses does? He goes back and he asks Jethro for permission to go do what God just told him to do. If anybody could pull a God card, if anybody could say, God told me to do this, it was Moses. Literally Moses. But he didn't do that. Why? Because he was submissive. And I think the Bible says that he was the most humble person that ever walked the face of the earth. I think, if I have my facts correct. And I thought I had never thought about it like that.
I haven't either.
And so the fact that Moses went back and he asked Jethro, the priest, his father-in-law, is it okay if I go do what God just told me to do? It shows that God uses human authority to confirm things to us, and also just to sometimes just be the ultimate authority in our lives. And so I think that learning to submit to authority and to human authority, and it's not submission until you are forced to do something you don't want to do, or you can't do something that you want to do.
I love that. So I've never thought about it like that.
That's kind of been like, I've been thinking about that for the past couple weeks, and I thought that was really cool. So that would be my word of wisdom is to learn to submit.
I like that.
And truly submit.
Truly.
Yeah.
When you don't want to do it.
When you don't want to do it.
I like it.
Yeah.
Well, this has been fun, man.
Yeah, I've enjoyed talking to you. Yeah.
We've never done this.
I know.
You know, growing up playing basketball and whatever else we did, going swimming, going hiking.
Yeah, we
camping.
Won't talk about all the stuff we did.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had a good time.
Yeah. But
I have a picture somewhere of us when we were 4 years old. You came to my fire truck birthday party. You remember that?
I don't remember the party. I think I've seen the picture.
We're like both. I mean, we don't have no teeth, nothing,
right.
And we're in our firefighter hats, and you're up at my house. I was thinking about that the other day. I don't know why I was thinking about it, but yeah, man, I've known you my whole life. It's good.
That's cool.
It's good to talk to you about stuff like this. So.
Yeah, this has been good.
Yeah,
well, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Absolutely.
And you know, you said it, third time's the charm.
Yeah,
we'll just keep going up. But thank you guys for listening today. If you aren't a part of a church, if you are but currently aren't plugged in and your family's not plugged in, and you have someone that's elementary age or preschool, you should definitely come try us out. We have a tremendous kids ministry that we would love for you to be a part of. Come try out and just get plugged in and walk with us as we pursue Christ in our lives. Thank you guys, and see you next time.